How to Think Logically, a simple mental model for making better decisions and avoiding bad ones. Welcome back to another episode of the Shut Up No One Cares, Get Back to Work podcast. I'm your host, Colin Stuckert. Big ideas, first principles that are going to stand the test of time that you can use to level up and become a better human. That's what the show is all about. 10 minutes or less, bite-sized show that you can tune into every other day on your favorite podcast app and or on YouTube here. Let's get into today's topic, how to think logically. Now, there's a lot of different rabbit holes you could go down with this. There's a lot of recommendations and a lot of esoteric philosophy around all this. And I want to avoid all that. I want to keep this short and simple and give you a couple things that you can start thinking about today that will improve your decision making. We're going to start with the core foundational first principle because that's what the show is all about. And that's what I like to focus on. We got to get down to the basics because that's where the truth is always a lot of times hidden. So the fundamental way to start thinking more logically and just making better decisions in general in your life is going to come down to this quote from one of my favorite Stoic philosophers. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters, by Epictetus. Now you're thinking, how the hell does this have anything to do with thinking logically? But bear with me. We're going to get there maybe in a little bit of a reverse order, and you're going to understand and see, and then hopefully internalize this truism of thinking more logically, but also life in general. This is something you're going to take through all areas of your life. And whether you're trying to focus on a problem or whether you're trying to avoid spending time and energy on things that are dragging you down and stress, etc. This is a first principle of life. It's not what happens to you. It's how you respond that matters. How you apply this to thinking logically is you avoid wasting time and energy on all the things around ideas or situations or problems. Most people spend a lot of time and get pulled into directions that are not productive. So the first thing is you have to accept that it's your responsibility to not do that. It's your responsibility to hone in on the core and to get rid of all the noise. Obviously, if you think about the past, you can't change the past, so you have to accept it. This seems like it's 1 + 1 = 2 and it should be simple. Yet a lot of people spend a lot of time obsessing over the past and things they cannot change. As it applies to thinking logically is you can't think logically if you can't think unemotionally. To think logically is the opposite of thinking emotionally, and thinking emotionally is the opposite of thinking logically. So you have to first remove any emotion around what you're trying to accomplish and what you're thinking about. And you do that by accepting this reality that it's not about things that have happened or what people have done or morality or anything like that. It's literally just about, it's how you respond and it's your responsibility and it's about how you control how you think about this situation or problem or whatever solution you're trying to figure out. It's about taking full ownership of this fact. And that's actually the second part of this. When you accept the reality that it's about how you respond and not about the thing itself, you then take ownership for having the responsibility about being the only person that's going to fix it or deal with it. And this is another thing that doesn't seem like it's very obvious or intuitive to thinking more logically, but it absolutely is. And this is where people go wrong. They get pulled into blame games, playing the victim, feeling bad for themselves, woe is me. And this all just pulls you further away from actually coming up with actionable solutions. So if you want to think logically, the core foundation, the big idea for today is you take full ownership of this fact. The fact that it's about how you respond. It's not about the thing itself. You take full responsibility that it's going to be up to you to come to a solution, to think better, to focus on actual outcomes and not get pulled into the quicksand and the mental traps that most people get pulled into because we're all humans. It's understandable. You have to fight that. You have to take ownership and you have to accept the reality that it's completely up to you. The core to thinking logically. I'm trying to keep this simple. I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. There's other ways to do this. There's other hacks and tools and other things. But the core foundation is always going to be based on this. It's going to be about removing emotion. You can't think logically if your mind is cluttered with emotion. And to remove emotion, you focus and you really, really consider these truisms of reality. The fact that you can't change the past, you never will. And if you can never change the past, the only thing that you can do is change your perception of it. Change how you think about it. To expand this idea a little bit, you can never control what other people do. You can try to influence them. You can say your piece or whatever, but generally that actually ends up backfiring. Most people don't realize the more they do, the more they push people away. When it comes to other people or systems or just randomness, you don't have control. You can only do some things that you can control. You can only control how you think, what you do, what you say, etc. And then hopefully you'll get a certain outcome that you're trying to achieve. But even with that, You have to be as unemotional as possible to really consider what you're trying to accomplish, what things can you control, and what should you focus on. And it all is boiled down to removing emotion as much as you can, because when you remove emotion, you can think logically. If you have any suggestions, questions, or comments about the show anytime, you can always find us on YouTube and drop a comment, or you can send me an email to colin@wildfoods.co. That's it for the big idea today. Let's now get to the daily 6, and then I'm going to let you go. Daily tip or recommendation. You can't think logically if you're upset, so don't even try. Take a day or an hour, get outside, take a walk, sleep on it, all the standard things. In fact, it's amazing how rejuvenated we feel and how our mind, it's almost like restarting a computer. Like your RAM gets filled up, it doesn't work, it's sluggish, and then you restart and you come back fresh and it's like breezing by, brand new machine. It's the perfect analogy to the human brain. There's decision fatigue. There's things that just clutter our mind that we can't really work through and that are like kind of nagging at our subconscious. There's just a bunch of gunk that as we go through the day, we need to reset. And sleep is the most profound way to do that. It's also paramount for your long-term health. Daily book recommendations. Mental Models by Farnam Street. It might actually also be called The Great Mental Models. Just look for Shane Parrish or Farnam Street. He's also got a great podcast, which I think is called just Farnam Street or Farnam Blog. Definitely read this book. It's short and sweet. It's like an hour on Audible, and it covers some of the big mental models that apply to thinking and also highlight a lot of the traps that humans fall into. Daily health tip. Your health should be simple. How you think about your health should be simple. Here are the basics. Just focus on these. Ignore all the complexity that people try to sell you and whatever, and just focus on these. Eat real food, ideally cooking at home. Sleep a lot, ideally as much as your body needs every single day without an alarm clock waking up. Move daily and often. Let go of things. Just let it go. Don't stress about it. Don't obsess about it. It's just not needed. And you're not actually going to control it by doing that. It's just negative energy. Have hobbies. Have relationships. Get sunlight. Be in the moment as much as you can. Focus now in the moment. Don't live in the past or the future. Care about things. Have some passions or hobbies or pursuits. Stop letting negativity and gunk into your mind and body. That's pretty much it. Maybe write this list down in your own words, maybe some tips or a couple bullet points of how you're actually going to address each one, and then print that out, laminate it, put it on your fridge, put it in your bathroom, have it as a PDF or a tab that opens up every time you open your computer, something to keep these big principles top of mind. And you can use the same principle for goal setting in your work. You want to have the big core first principles, the things that are not going to change, the big ideas. You want those front and center, and you want to constantly align your mind to focus on them. Daily cooking tip. Just cook at home. Do it. The more you cook your meals at home, the more you control the salt, the oils, the ingredients, the better you're going to be for your health and for your long-term well-being, longevity, and how your body looks and how you feel. This is really the core of everything. Real food. Cook real food at home. Daily thoughts about money. Don't think about money from a scarcity perspective. I'm going to lose it. I don't have enough. I'm afraid I don't know how to make it. Literally just kill all those inner voices. Money is always available. There's trillions of it. And the banks print more every single day. There's never going to be a time where you can't make more money. If you're alive, you always have opportunity to make more money. And in a lot of cases, you have opportunity to make more money than you've ever made if you just open your mind and you think a certain way. You have to think abundantly or money's never going to come to you. You're never going to see those opportunities. You're going to be too focused on not losing what you have. You're going to be too focused on conserving, on preserving, and it's going to keep you from the opportunities right in front of you. That's it for today's show. Do all those things that I say to do, like and subscribe if you want to. It helps me find more people. I really appreciate it. I hope you do something with something or multiple things that you heard or watched in today's show. That's the most important thing, is for you to become a better human and level up. You can follow me on Instagram at Colin Stuckert. And if you need anything, colin@wildfoods.co. Send me an email. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, Colin here. Before I let you go, make sure you go over to colin.coach to hop on the AM5 newsletter so you can get a list of all the shows as well as some of my best content from the week before. You can go to colin.coach to get that now. If you'd like to support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/Colin Stuckert, and you can see some of the membership options, a small monthly donation to help support the work here, and join me in my quest to build better humans using big ideas, as well as promoting health through the Ancestral Mind podcast. I appreciate the support, and if you have any questions or comments, you can send me an email directly to colin@wildfoods.co. This show is also sponsored by Wild Foods Co. Real foods, superfood ingredients from small producers around the world. These are the products I use and trust on a daily basis. You can use code WILDCEO for 12% off your entire order over at wildfoods.co.